Hey guys, Guiden here. Today's video will be featuring the different kind of blunt weapons in Mordhau. These will specifically include the Warhammer, Mace, Maul, and the Sledgehammer. Now, I won't be including the mallet or the blacksmith's hammer, as they do have the same properties as blunt weapons, but they're more so tools, kind of like how I was talking about the training sword in my sword video. Also, the Evening Star I'll exclude only because it's really closer to a polearm. Even though it's really also a two-handed mace, it's kind of both, but I'll leave that because it has more properties closer to a polearm than the other weapons as to just blunt weapons in this video. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's actually talk about some of the qualities that blunt weapons have. First things first is the fact that blunt weapons can deal most of their damage through any kind of armor. So pretty much if you have an opponent fully maxed out in heavy armor, you're still going to get the same results as you do fighting someone who isn't. Your mileage may vary a little bit as some blunt weapons deal a little less of their full potential than others, but generally they do fantastic damage. Another thing that is also about that high damage is very low hits to kill when using a blunt weapon. I'll be going over that later, but typically blunt weapons only take about an average of 2 hits. Again, mileage may vary depending on the weapon, but as I'll go through each of these different weapons, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. That doesn't mean blunt weapons have no weaknesses, however. One thing is they're incredibly short. In fact, every weapon on this list is about 60 centimeters long, except for the Sledgehammer, which is even shorter at 50 centimeters. If you want to go compare that to a sword, for instance, that's the same size as a short sword, and the Sledgehammer is only marginally larger than a dagger. So they're really short-reaching weapons. The other disadvantage is the fact that blunt weapons are stop-on-hit weapons. Now, if you do land a killing blow with it, you can hit somebody else after your first initial hit. But if you don't, as soon as you hit your first target, you're stopped and you'll have to attack again. This is a big disadvantage compared to swords and axes, which can slice through multiple opponents with one swing as long as no one blocks it. So in 1v1s, that's not really much of an issue, but in 1vx's, it's a little bit more of a disadvantage. Now that we've talked about that, let's go into the individual weapons themselves. Starting off strong is the Warhammer. The Warhammer is a pretty solid weapon at its price point, and honestly punches pretty high up there compared to some of its more expensive sword and axe counterparts. In terms of damage, strikes kill in 3 hits to the torso and 2 to the head. Thrusts are okay. It's not great, more than a battle axe, but less than a maul. So not bad. Viable for using in mix-ups though. But where it really shines is its alt mode. You can switch to the pick in the back, and you will do bonus headshot damage. It still takes 2 hits to the head though to kill, so why would you want to use something that only increases damage to the head and it still takes the same amount of hits? Well, it does just enough damage that if you hit them in the head with the pick, you can kill in 2 hits from the head and the torso, rather than 2 to the head or 3 to the chest. So, not a bad compromise. In terms of stamina, it's okay. Better than some, not better than some of the larger weapons like the Zweihander or the Mace, or the Maul, which we'll be talking about a few of those. So, not bad. You can pair with a shield, but you don't really have to. I think the Warhammer gets slept on a lot, and hopefully maybe you'll pick it up and see how it works for you. The next weapon on this list is the Mace, which is a hell of a weapon. With powerful strikes, it can kill in 2 hits to the head, and is the only one-handed weapon in the game, at least at the time of this video, that can kill in 2 hits to the torso. No other weapon can really claim that except for some two-handed weapons, and that's against max level armor too. Its thrusts are okay, about the same as the Warhammer, just a few points behind. In terms of stamina, it's great. It's good for attacking, and it is good for defending. So you can pair it with the shield, but honestly you can get away without it. Also, like other one-handed weapons that I reviewed before, it's throwable. So feel free in a certain situation that you have an extra weapon, throw it at your opponent, and you can get a good surprise hitting. The next weapon is also the last of the normal weapons on this list, quote unquote. The Maul is pretty much a meme factory, and honestly with good reason, because it earns its reputation. In terms of damage, a single swing to the head is an insta-kill, no matter what the armor is. It only takes 2 swings, or a swing and a thrust, to kill to the torso, and 2 swings to the legs to kill. It's pretty incredible. The swings are honestly the highest average damage in the game, and thrusting is not too shabby either. It's better than the Warhammer, the mace, and even the upcoming Sledgehammer, making it the best of the blunt weapons to use as a stat. But what really takes this to the next level is the fact that its alt mode is actually throwing this weapon, making it the only two-handed weapon to be thrown like that. It deals pretty good damage, and like the mace before it, it's great for surprising your opponent, and especially if you have another weapon on hand that you want to switch to, and you can easily do that while attacking at the same time. So it makes it for a pretty great weapon. The only real downside to the Maul is the fact that you can't combo with this weapon ever. The only time you might be able to is if you get a clash, and that's not always something you can make happen. But besides that, the Maul earned its reputation in every way. The last weapon on this list is something you might not have seen too often. It's the Sledgehammer. The reason why is because, well, it's a peasant perk only weapon. You can pick this up on some maps, but besides that, you will have to invest 8 points in the peasant perk, and then another 6 to actually use the weapon. So at 14 points, it's not really a great investment, but it does have some qualities to it that might make you want to use it at least a few times. For instance, it is pretty good in terms of damage. It can kill in 2 shots to the head, 2 shots to the torso. Also, it has the longest swing time in the game, meaning it is crazy for drags. You can really consider using it for that alone, but it does have some other benefits. For instance, it has the highest stamina damage and the highest stamina defense in the game. No other weapon comes close, at least except for the pickaxe, but that's only for stamina defense. Also, this has the best damage against stone defenses, meaning if you're playing front lines, you can smash right through those barricades to the next point. It's also really good against wood, comparable to some of the axes in the game that I talked about in my previous axe video. But there are a ton of downsides to using this. First off, it is the shortest of every single blunt weapon that I've showcased in this video. It can't be comboed. It does not have an alt mode. I previously just said it can't be used except with a peasant perk or picked up. And besides that, the thrusts really suck. So really, you're only using it for objectives and for disarms. That's pretty much the main reason why you'd use this. So honestly, more of a meme than the Maul. Not as competitive, but still I think worthy enough that it earns a spot on this list. So that's pretty much it. Those are the blunt weapons that I've decided to showcase in this video, and I'll be talking about the Poleaxe, which I didn't talk about in the axe guide, and the Evening Star, which I didn't talk about in this video, in the final video I'll be making on the weapons of Mordhau, the Polearms. So keep an eye out for that. I hope this has helped out some people, and again, thanks so much for watching, guys. It's really fun to make these videos, and I'm glad it is actually being enjoyed by people. So this has been Guiden, and thanks for watching.